Hi, everybody. This is Kevin Keller, and thank you for joining us for CFP Board's Business Update webinar. We're broadcasting today from the Board of Directors meeting in Baltimore. We'll have updates from the board meeting and share with you some of the accomplishments of 2018 and the relaunch of our public awareness campaign. As we take a look into the future, we'll talk about our 4 strategic priorities. We call them the 4 A's: awareness, access, accountability, and authority. And then during the second half of the webinar, we'll be answering your questions. That's always my favorite part of the program. So before we get into the presentation, we have a couple of housekeeping items. If you run into issues with the audio portion of the presentation, or if it seems like the slides are out of sync, then you should refresh your webinar console. There is a Q&A function on the screen that you can use to submit questions to us at any time during the program. We'll address as many questions as we can before the end of the hour. And if we don't get to your question, we promise to you that we will follow up and provide you a question by email. With me here this afternoon is Richard Salmen, CFP, also a CFA and an enrolled agent, but we just use CFP here for the next hour. Richard is the 2018 Chair of the Board of Directors, and joining Richard and me is Susan John, the 2018 Chair-elect. So thank you all for joining us. As I said, we're in Baltimore, right on the water, and we've got, I think, an interesting session lined up for you today. So Richard, why don't you take it away?
Thanks, Kevin. The Board of Directors holds 3 regular in-person business meetings each year, and this week's meeting was our final business meeting of 2018. This is also the meeting where we elect new board members who will begin their terms in January. We had an impressive group of candidates, actually the largest group of candidates to put their names forward at any time this year, and we'll be announcing those new members in the very near future. We also took some time for self-reflectance on our governance work of the organization. To help us frame our discussion within current trends and best practices for governance, we invited a CPP, that's not a CFP, a CPP, a Certified Professional Parliamentarian, and I challenge you to say that fast 3 times, to lead our discussion. We also devoted time during the meeting for updates on the progress of CFP Board's 2018 priorities, and we approved a budget and priorities for the coming year. We continue to focus CFP Board's work on the 4 strategic priorities of the refreshed strategic plan that the Board adopted in 2016 and Kevin alluded to earlier. We call that plan the 4 A's, and it's anticipated to take us through the year 2021. All of CFP Board's operations are working to advance the 4 strategic priorities you see here in the center: awareness, access, authority, and accountability. Each of those strategic priorities is connected to CFP's board mission and vision. We are now ending our second year of working toward our 4 A's priorities, and today we'll share some brief updates of what we've achieved in each area during 2018 and what's to come for 2019. The first of our 4 strategic priorities is growing awareness of CFP certification as the recognized standard for competent and ethical financial planners. CFP Board's public awareness campaign is designed to support and enhance the recognition and value of the CFP marks. Since the campaign launched in April 2011, our public awareness campaign has been a great success. In 2017, our brand tracking study found unaided awareness of CFP certification among our target audience was 10 percentage points above where we were before we initiated the campaign. Last year, campaign advertising generated more than 1 billion impressions. We also had 17,350 earned media placements that generated an estimated reach of nearly 10.3 billion impressions, with an estimated advertising equivalency of $94 million. But that campaign was starting to show a downward trend, which signaled it was time to refresh it. We took a data-driven approach to the process of updating the campaign. First, we hired Heart and Mind Strategies to conduct brand research and to find out what resonates with our target audience. And then we hired a new ad agency that developed creative concepts based on that research. With the new campaign, our approach is to persuade with facts and motivate with emotion. The process involved the development of a new brand promise. This is not something that consumers would see or hear, but is a statement that guides how and what consumers hear. On the left is the old brand promise. It is very inward focused and rational. On the right is the new brand promise, informed by our new research. This is more emotional, focused on benefits, and most especially consumer-facing.
Well, Richard, you said you've even adopted this language in your own firm.
Well, there's probably not very many things that are more important to a certified financial planner than a good elevator speech, right? And you're always trying to refine what your message and what your value proposition is to your clients. And ultimately, what this new brand promise for CFP professionals does is define what we do. We provide confidence today and a more secure tomorrow. We don't have all the answers and we can't guarantee anything, but we know that our clients have more confidence today and that they have a more secure tomorrow than if they weren't working with us. We call the campaign It's All Possible with a CFP Professional. Focus group research found the campaign motivated consumers to partner with a CFP professional for three things: holistic thinking that incorporates all aspects of finance, in essence a roadmap, personalized, comprehensive, and flexible plans, and third, plans created in their best interest. The campaign brings these benefits to life by highlighting personal stories. The ads tell the stories of different people at different points in their financial lives. They emphasize the value of having a personal financial plan and show a personal relationship with a CFP professional who is their partner in the process. Throughout the campaign, the CFP certification brand is highlighted to increase recall and awareness. Let's take a look at the first two 30-second TV spots.
Making my dreams a reality takes more than just investment advice. From insurance to savings to retirement, it takes someone with experience and knowledge who can help me build a complete plan. Brian, my certified financial planner professional, is committed to working in my best interest. I call it my comfortable future plan, and it's all possible with a CFP professional.
Find your certified financial planner professional at letsmakeaplan.org.
We've saved our money, and now we get to spend it our way.
But we worry if we have enough to last.
Ellen, our certified financial planner professional, helps us manage our cash flow and plan for the unexpected.
Her experience and training gave us the courage to go for it. It's our Confident Forever plan.
And it's all possible with a CFP professional.
Find your certified financial planner professional at letsmakeaplan.org.
All right. We really believe that this sends a new message to consumers, and one of my personal favorite highlights from the ads is when you see the placement of the little sticky notepad on the desk of that says CFP on it. Okay, so on the slide right now, you can see a breakdown of the 2018 media buy. TV has the largest share of the budget at 51%, followed by digital, SEM, which is paid search, magazine, radio, and social. The media buy delivers well over 1.1 billion impressions. In addition to all of this paid advertising, we will have active earned media outreach to extend the campaign's reach. We are very pleased with the reception of the new campaign and encourage you to find ways that you can help us to promote the campaign in your communities and, by extension, promote yourself. From our website, you can access links to the TV spots on CFP Board's YouTube channel, banner ads for use on personal websites, print ad PDFs, sample social media posts, and customized radio announcements. If you're interested in learning more about the campaign's development, you'll also find a recording of the webinar we hosted in late August to premiere the new ads. And keep an eye out for additional materials as we're working on podcasts and webinars focused on helping CFP professionals with their communication and marketing.
You know, we've been on the air since right after Labor Day, and a pretty heavy rotation on national cable television. So we've been on CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, CNBC, and several other cable channels. So that heavy flight, as we call it in the advertising world, ends this week. So we've been on September through this week. We'll still be in magazines, and obviously we'll have our digital presence, but then we'll pick back up after the first of the year. And Richard and Susan, we work closely with White 64, our advertising agency, and the staff will be meeting with the principals there to discuss the 2019 flight, which will likely start again early in the first quarter of 2019.
Thank you. And also later this year, there will be an on-demand webinar about extending the CFP certification brand based on the presentation CFP Board shared at this fall's FBA and NAPFA conferences. As Kevin alluded to, we also have a pretty robust social media program, and we want you to engage with us on our social media channels by following us, liking us, and sharing the great content we share through these platforms. You'll find posts featuring the work of our CFP Board ambassadors around the country who are helping share our public awareness campaign messages about the value of working with CFP professionals. If you recall a few years ago, our consumer messages were given voice primarily by a single consumer advocate. Since then, we've adopted a new strategy that involves influencers around the country. I encourage all of you to help us spread our message to the circles in which you play an influencer role. We want your clients and prospective clients to connect you with the great messages they're seeing in the campaign advertising. As we look ahead to 2019, the campaign will continue to feature the new advertisements with both a spring and fall advertising flight, as Kevin had said. Now, let me turn things over to Susan, who has some updates on a couple of our other strategic priorities.
Thank you, Richard. We accomplished our strategic priority of accountability by holding CFP professionals to rigorous standards and by advocating for fiduciary advice, recognition of financial planning as a profession, and effective regulation of financial planners. This March, we announced the adoption of the new Code of Ethics and Standards of Conduct, which will take effect in October of 2019. Among other important changes, the new code and standards extends the application of a CFP professional's fiduciary duty to all financial advice. It's important that all of our CFP professionals have an accurate and practical understanding of their new obligations. So CFP Board is undertaking a thorough process to educate and inform CFP professionals on the new code and standards. To help us do that, we established a Standards Resource Commission that is working on developing new guidance and compliance resources. They will be helping create updated versions of our sample client agreements and disclosure statements, as well as developing entirely new materials. And while the Standards Resource Commission has just started its work, staff has already prepared a range of guidance materials on the new code and standards. Another of our strategic priorities is expanding access to competent and ethical financial planning by increasing the number and diversity of CFP professionals. The chart here shows the growth of CFP professionals over the last 15 years. It's going up. Since 2007, when Kevin joined the CFP Board as CEO, the number has increased by more than 54%. And the growth is even more noteworthy if you look at it from the perspective of the broader population of financial advisors.
Susan, I did want to, we were talking about the new code and standards, and it's been online, but some people like paper. Now, I know Richard likes everything electronically, but I still like paper. Between Christmas and New Year's, we will be mailing to every CFP professional a hard copy of the new code and standards. So be in the lookout for that right after the first of the year. It should be in your mailbox to start out 2019.
Well, I think that's important. There's nothing like having it right in front of you. You can review it whenever you have an opportunity. Yep. So here you see a projection from Cerulli that shows a 1.7 projected decline in the advisor population by 2021. At the same time, the Bureau of Labor Statistics projected growth rate for financial advisors indicates that there's a strong demand for advisors, but not as strong as it used to be. So while the number of financial advisors may be going down, the number of CFP professionals continues to grow. In fact, now 1 in 4 financial advisors have the CFP certification. It's become the indispensable certification for advisors who want to practice financial planning. As we continue working on our access priority, we'll be working to address gender, racial, and ethnic diversity and inclusion. CFP Board's Women's Initiative has been underway for several years, and one of its most successful components was the Win-to-Win Mentoring Program. The Win-to-Win Mentor Program generated more than 1,600 mentor-mentee engagements from 700 women mentors who have served as guides, offering practical advice based on their own experience, taking the CFP exam, and pursuing careers in the financial planning profession. We recently moved the mentoring system to a new platform and have opened it up to everyone on the path to CFP certification. I encourage all of you to take a look and sign up to be a mentor. Mentoring is a great and rewarding way to get back to the profession. And we expect the mentoring program will continue to serve women on the path to CFP certification, as well as people of color. Later this year, we'll also be rolling out another tool you can use to add visibility to your CFP certification. A digital certificate will be available to all CFP professionals. The digital certificate looks like the one you have hanging in your office, but this will allow you to embed it on your website or include it in your email signature. The system we're using is a secure one that's been used by many other certificate-granting organizations, and we all hope that you'll find it a helpful way to ensure that your clients and potential clients know that you're a CFP professional.
Susan, I want to just stop you. This is, it seems minor, but in the past we have people verification. This is, people will be able to click right on that certificate and go right to verify, and in real time, it will validate your active and good status standing as a CFP professional. And so I think we're hoping not only in signature lines, but also in LinkedIn and other kinds of ways that you're holding yourself out. Having that certificate right there will, I think, go a long way toward helping reassure your clients and your prospective clients of the competency and your commitment to ethics that CFP certification embodies.
Well, I think this is an exciting development too, because in the past, we've always had different ways of displaying our CFP certification, and I think this is a particularly easy way for people to do it. We're also pleased to be rolling out the CFP Board Emeritus Program later this year. This program is for our long-term CFP professionals who are retiring but want to retain their affiliation with CFP Board. Due to trademark restrictions, CFP retired was not an option. Instead, we'll be able to recognize our retired long-time colleagues as Emeritus of CFP Board. To be eligible for membership, individuals will be required to meet certain criteria, including having been a CFP professional for 25 years or more. Emeritus of CFP Board will be entitled to use a new CFP Board Emeritus trademark that will be recognized on CFP Board's website as a long-standing contributor to the profession. They will also have opportunities to serve in a volunteer capacity to advance the profession. We know that this is important to many of our CFP professionals who have dedicated significant time and energy over many years to support CFP certification. CFP Board will begin reaching out to eligible individuals later this year with more information. Now let me turn things back to Kevin, who has some updates on our fourth strategic priority.
Well, thank you, Susan. We should really talk about our friend Ben Coombs. How about Richard?
That was exactly what was on my mind, because Ben Coombs has been promoting this for years. And Ben, if you're out there listening, it's finally across the finish line. And I would very much like you to have the opportunity to be one of the first, if not number one.
Be number one. Be number one, indeed. Well, thank you both. Our fourth strategic priority is serving as the respected authority for the profession. And the way we do that at CFP Board is by setting standards, obviously. Again, that ranks right up there with building the CFP Board brand as the most important things that we do. But we serve as the respected authority by setting standards, certifying financial planners, and advancing the Center for Financial Planning. We launched the Center for Financial Planning back in late 2015. And since then, the Center has been actively pursuing its mission, and that is to create a more diverse and more sustainable financial planning profession. The Center's work has been focused on three key initiatives, and they're so important, I think, to the future of the profession of financial planning. The first is workforce development, and that encompasses a range of programs through our Career Center and other work that we're doing. Diversity includes our successful Women's Initiative and this year's new initiatives focused on both racial and ethnic diversity and inclusion, and the Academic Home and Body of Knowledge Initiative. Through that, we're making opportunities for research that not only advances the financial planning discipline, but offers publishing opportunities for academics to help gain the recognition for tenure and promotion that the academic world needs in order to advance their career. Just a couple of weeks ago, the Center hosted an exciting event in New York. It was our first ever Diversity Summit. The summit brought together leaders from financial services, academic institutions, and not-for-profit organizations to discuss the research-based initiatives that will increase racial and ethnic diversity in the financial planning profession. At the summit, the Center released a new thought leadership paper, which was entitled Racial Diversity in the Profession, Where We Are and Where We Must Go. The paper outlines actionable solutions for creating a more inclusive profession based on findings from the comprehensive research that we conducted. As the country becomes increasingly more diverse and wealth continues to accumulate among people of color, firms will need to diversify their ranks to reflect the diversity of the public. To ensure the long-term viability and continued success of the profession, the Center has committed to a number of initiatives to increase diversity. That includes things like maintaining a diversity advisory group to help advise us on the programmatic initiatives that will help achieve this goal. We've committed to raising awareness of the profession among young people through the I Am a CFP Pro campaign, establishing and administering scholarship programs, and connecting candidates for CFP certification with experienced professionals through the CFP Board Mentor Program. Richard, one of the things that we did at this board meeting was approve the organizational goals for 2019, the CEO goals that we'll work on. Those are based on 5-year longer-term goals, and with the Center, we really had 2 of those. One of those was to be seen as the thought leader and the primary convener in the topics of racial and ethnic diversity and workforce development. But the other was to grow the number of CFP professionals who are people of color. And those are both important goals.
Well, I mean, this is not a new issue, the issue of diversity. And while the concept has been sound and people have been working on it for a long time, it's been something that's been very difficult to accomplish. And the CFP board has sort of voted with their dollars to put effort and energy of both staff and financial resources behind making this a reality, not just something that would be nice to accomplish.
Thank you, Richard. You can find the research paper and more information about the summit on the center's website at the address you see here. This year, the center has also been making progress toward its key initiative of building an academic home and building out the body of knowledge for the profession. In March of this year, the center published a book on a new area of research that we're calling client psychology. The book explores the biases, behaviors, and perceptions that impact client decision-making and overall financial well-being. So, a lot of people from the outside look at financial planning. They think it's quantitative. They think it's numbers. But, Susan, those of you who sit across from clients every day know how important these issues are, the biases, behaviors, and perceptions as they impact well-being, the financial well-being of clients.
We all know that involves another skill set and another whole body of knowledge. And while this has been developing on the periphery for quite some time, it's time now to make it part of the mainstream, make it part of the courses that are taught in CFP programs, and time for it to be part of the exam cycle.
It is indeed. We recently announced an exciting new partnership with Wharton Executive Education, and jointly with Wharton, we will offer a 3-day program focused on client psychology. The program will first be offered next April in New York and again in July in San Francisco. I hope all of you out there will contribute to and learn from the future developments in this area, and that our CFP professionals will lead the way in providing value to clients through the application of these important topics.
Kevin, the one thing I've said sort of tongue-in-cheek for years is that once I discovered that the number of financial decisions made by clients with logic was so small as to almost be irrelevant, the whole job got easier because I stopped expecting people to be logical, but that doesn't take away our obligation to help them move their behaviors. We can have the greatest theoretical ideas in the world and the academic and research behind it to tell them this is a great idea, but if we can't help move their behavior, we're not really succeeding.
And Susan, these are not new topics. You told us how you had served as chair of NAPFA, and these are topics that NAPFA has, at least parts of these topics that we're putting under this client psychology umbrella. These are topics that NAPFA has included in its CE requirement, its continuing education requirement for some time.
Yes, that's true, Kevin. And so there is some body of knowledge that's been developed over time, but it's really time to formalize that process. And I think these symposiums in New York and in the West will be quite important. And I look forward to seeing a number of our CFP professionals there.
All right. In September, we published the first edition of a new academic journal called the Financial Planning Review. The journal features cutting-edge research that will ultimately benefit CFP professionals, researchers, and the public. Paper submissions are subject to a double-blind peer review by respected researchers from a variety of academic disciplines and research methodologies. Publication of the Financial Planning Review will help address the current shortage of qualified faculty to teach financial planning by providing them with opportunities to publish research that builds the financial planning body of knowledge. The journal is available electronically from Wiley Online Library at the center website. Next year, the center will launch a body of knowledge website that will contain additional papers, videos, and interactive capabilities that bring additional relevance to financial planning practitioners. One of the issues that comes up, I think we should talk a little bit. Sometimes our good friends at the Financial Planning Association ask, what's the difference between the Journal of Financial Planning and the Financial Planning Review? And they're both, I think, both respected publications. There is one significant difference, though, and that is this point that I referenced, that this is intended to be an academic journal that qualifies for tenure and promotion. We currently have 130 baccalaureate programs. We have 40 more on the drawing board for the coming year. Dr. Mary Kay Swedberg leads that effort for us at CFP Board. One of the limiting factors, quite candid, because we know there are jobs out there. Everybody's trying to hire the new grad. We know there are jobs, but one of the limiting factors is having, tenure-track positions. And one of the reasons there are not more tenure-track positions is that there are not opportunities for tenure from the people who we want to teach and lead these programs. Quite candidly, we may be biased, but we don't think accounting faculty should be teaching financial planning.
Well, I would agree with that, Kevin. And having read the Journal of Financial Planning for literally decades now, as an FPA member, I agree with you that it has great relevance to my practice as a financial planner. But the distinction of the Financial Planning Review being about academics being able to publish and be able to get recognition for tenure is an important one. And it doesn't mean that the Financial Planning Review does not have value to practitioners, because ideally the things that are being researched are the things that are going to eventually get to the public through the financial planning professionals that are CFPs.
Well, absolutely, and I don't mean to make fun of my accounting people, but we think that financial planning programs should be taught and led by people who are financial planning academics. As you look at the topics, if you think about financial planning, it is a practicing profession, and so it only makes sense if the new Financial Planning Review doesn't answer the question, so what? This is not basic research in molecular biology we're doing. This first issue of the review has articles on mental accounting and the relationship between financial planner use and meeting retirement savings goals. So there are great topics, and I will tell you, I will tease out here a little bit. I can't give the name, but I will tell you a very well-respected Nobel Prize-winning laureate will author an article in the second issue of the Financial Planning Review.
The only thing I would add to that, Kevin, once again, just a bit tongue-in-cheek, is I once had a client ask me when I said something about practicing financial planning, and he said, when are you going to stop practicing and actually get good at it?
Another important part of the Center's work on building an academic home is our research colloquium for financial planning and related disciplines. This kind of goes hand in hand with the Financial Planning Review. For the first time in 2019, the colloquium will feature sessions designed specifically for practicing CFP professionals. These sessions will focus on exploring the implications of research to financial planning practice. Each session will be led by a scholar practitioner who will have extensive financial planning practice experience and can apply those to relevant, impactful research. I know for one, Dr. David Yeski of Golden Gate University is leading one of those sessions. We're working with our friends at the Financial Planning Association they'll be giving CE credit for these, so you'll be seeing more about that topic. I think it's time to go to questions. We've got about 25 minutes left, and the first question that came in before we started, Robert asks, Richard, I'm going to give you this question. Robert asks, other than typical marketing, does the board plan on an aggressive strategy to direct consumers to local CFP professionals?
Well, I think, Robert, that the main outreach of CFP Board, and this is through the $145 a year that's allocated toward the public awareness campaign, is the outreach of the ads that we just showed you earlier in this presentation, as well as the social media and other online marketing, et cetera. And I want to emphasize again the reach that each one of you CFP professionals that are listening and watching on this webinar can do to benefit both the profession and yourselves by using this material. I mean, where can you spend $145 a year and get that much more marketing help? I would argue you can't. And so take advantage of what's there.
Well, Eric may have a different view. Eric asks, when will the financial planning or when will the public awareness campaign end?
Well, we started the public awareness campaign in 2011. And if I remember right, Kevin, it was authorized for 4 years.
Initially it was.
Yeah, initially it was for 4 years. And in the third year, and this was, again, before I got here, but in the third year, the board reauthorized it to continue for as long as it was essentially effective, and without having to basically reauthorize it again. And that's why we measure. You know, we use our mass affluent initiator metric as a way of measuring how effective we're being, and that's why we made the decision to refresh the campaign last year, and that's why we have the new ads that are out this year. But ultimately, CFP professionals tell us over and over again during the surveys that we do that building the brand is the highest priority of CFP professionals, high 90% priority. So we will continue it as long as it's effective and as long as CFP professionals want us to do it.
You know, following up on both Robert and Eric, I would only add, you know, asking about the campaign and how we're doing that. I would remind people that both FPA, they have their planner search functionality. NAPFA has its find a fee-only financial planner tool. And CFP Board has Let's Make a Plan, which is the search functionality to find a CFP professional. Susan, next question for you. Aaron asks, how will CFP Board take advantage of the DOL rule getting nixed? I think Aaron's happy about that with the way she asked the question. And advertise to retirees why CFP professionals are the most qualified fiduciary to help them make sure their assets last as long as they do. I'll give you that one.
Well, you know, I think with our refreshed public awareness campaign, we really focus on that, and it gives us an opportunity to highlight the changes in the code and standards. And as Richard already alluded to, our budget includes TV, print, social media, and lots of opportunities for all CFP professionals to participate, and I hope we all take advantage of that.
So Glenn asked, just kind of following up on this theme, Glenn just typed in, what is the $145 a year? Is that how much of our, and Glenn says, dues go toward the public awareness campaign? So do you want to speak to that, Richard?
Yeah, Glenn, when the board voted to approve the public awareness campaign, it was with the explicit instruction that $145 each year of your certification fee, because we don't have dues, because we don't have members, but $145 a year per CFP professional would go directly to the costs of the public awareness campaign and cannot be used for anything else. It is explicitly for that purpose only.
Yeah, and so it's a dollars in, dollars out. It's right now we have this morning 82,150 CFP professionals. By the way, good luck to, if there's anybody taking the exam this week, good luck to all of them. We have over 3,000 people sitting for the exam, and it's a near record number of people sitting for the CFP exam. But you multiply 145 times 82,000, you get $12 million and change or so, plus or minus a little bit. And that money all goes to support the direct expenses. We do not put any overhead on that. It's the direct expenses of the financial planning public awareness campaign. Susan.
And while that $12 million sounds like a lot of money, it's a drop in the bucket as compared to what other organizations have to spend. And I think that we've made an absolutely fantastic use of our available dollars. And we also have some earned media, too, that really contribute
a lot of it.
to the spread of knowledge about CFP professionals.
So if you think about how many ads you see for banks, brokerages, and insurance companies, we're less than 1% overall. Glenn says thank you. So we answered Glenn's question. You're welcome. So we have a question. Here's a question. Roger Sloan asks, will the new Center for Financial Planning offer classes, or CE, to help us in growing our skills, building client financial plans, etc.?
Well, Roger, I don't think that that's really the purpose of the center. I mean, we've got two top-notch membership associations, the Financial Planning Association and the National Association of Personal Financial Advisors, that both do CE. The center is really oriented around being the academic home, focusing on diversity, both gender and race, as well as growing and developing the financial planning workforce. Those are the three major themes for the center at this time, and I really don't see it focusing on helping individual CFP practitioners grow their knowledge base or their ability to build their practice.
And I might add that both the membership organizations offer a lot of help in how to live into the new standards, how to operate your business effectively, how to reorient maybe your product offerings or your service offerings, and we encourage everybody to look into their conferences.
Here's a question. Hubert asks, how many African Americans hold the CFP mark? I don't know. Do either of you know? I know, but do you know?
Isn't it about 3% of the membership, something like that?
Well, we don't have membership.
Well, that's true. Yeah. Certificate.
Actually, it is an abysmally low number. It's 1,200. I don't know what the current number is, but it's only about 1,200. We have about 1,500 people who self-identify as Hispanic or Latino. And the research that Marilyn Mormon Gillis and the Center released last 2 weeks ago was really focused on those two groups. We do better with Asian Americans, but the combined only 2,700 of the 82,000 CFP professionals identify as either African American or Hispanic Latino. Question for Richard. Patrick even calls you out, Richard. How do you present the CFP versus the CFA designations in the marketplace?
Well, being both a CFP professional and a CFA, to me, the CFP credential is about personal financial planning. The CFA, Chartered Financial Analyst, is really about investing. Now, some of that's, in the CFA vernacular, some of that's buy side, some of that's sell side. And I think the CFA Institute would, based on some of the challenges in the marketplace with the move toward indexing and other things, there's simply less opportunity than there was. But it maybe move into the wealth management area. But I would argue the only really well-rounded credential for financial planning is the CFP mark.
You know, here's an interesting question. Claire asks, how does CFP view its role in the relationship to high-income wealth inequality? And I have a view, but I'll share that, but happy to have Susan or Richard chime in if you want. When we think about, look, we have 82,000 CFP professionals. Many of them work in the middle class, but one of the things that we're looking at with the center, and when I was at the Diversity Summit 2 weeks ago, one of the recurring themes that we had And I think of Luis Barajas, who is from Southern California. Luis has some very high, he'll tell you, he has some high net worth clients, but he also goes back into his community of Spanish-speaking people and delivers financial planning on a pro bono basis and for clients that are not of, who are on the lower end of that inequality spectrum. So when we're thinking about the center and what it can do, we can't take on, a systemic problem as big as, the total income inequality. But the part that we can do, I believe, is as we grow the diversity, and many of these people have told me at least that they want to go back and also give back to their community, but certainly make a living as well. I think it's something that we can do.
In the last several years, there have been a lot of different business models that have been developed that facilitate giving advice for people of lesser means, or some of our students that have paid a lot for their college educations, and right now their only assets are their education. They're burdened with their education debt, but they have a lot of questions. They have a lot of need for financial planning, and I really think it's rewarding that the profession has developed some of these new business models to help reach out to those people that normally would not be able to consider a financial planner.
Well, and to add on to that, Susan, I see real opportunity. I mean, there are some that view the robo-advisor movement and the other technology moving into our space as a threat. I would rather characterize it as an opportunity for those of us that are practicing financial planner professionals to be able to use that technology, because most of us are already doing it. We can do more with less people than we could 5 years ago, 10 years ago, especially 20 years ago. It's just changed so dramatically and that we don't even realize just how much more efficient and productive we are. And I think even the robo-advice movement is transitioning from a business to consumer model to more of a business to business model to support us in our ability to serve those that are less affluent.
Lest you all think that we just pick the glowing and positive comments and questions we get, Justin says, these are literally some of the worst ads I've ever seen. All of these items floating around are distracting. The dialogue is cliche and uninspiring, and introducing new acronyms for CFP diminishes what it really stands for. Justin, I appreciate your feedback. It goes on to say, this is nothing like the previous campaign. How can we be proud of these ads? So, look, I appreciate the feedback. I will tell you the previous campaign drew very strong reactions. Some people really liked the DJ. Others thought it trivialized the role that CFP professionals really play. And so in fact, we had one person who was a DJ who took offense to the ad. So I appreciate your feedback. Look, we're testing. One of the things that we're doing, we do a pre-test and we do a post-test. And what we're trying to do with the public awareness campaign is increase the awareness of CFP certification. These ads were tested in front of members of the target audience, along with other campaigns. This campaign was the best. Richard and Susan, you were both there and saw parts of it.
Well, it was very interesting to be able to sit behind the glass and peer into some of the focus groups, because I learned a tremendous amount from that. The things that resonate with us as practitioners are not necessarily the same things that resonate with the public. And I'll tell you, my favorite phrases and panels that the agency put together were the most disliked by the members of the public.
Right. Interesting.
Well, and to go back to what I said earlier, Kevin, with the new campaign, our approach is to persuade with facts and motivate with emotion. And it's really the emotion that typically triggers somebody to act. We can give them all the facts in the world, but if we don't connect that with emotion, and that's what these ads are designed to do.
Well, when we're out on the road and we're doing town hall meetings, I frequently ask, what should we advertise? And people say, the test. Tell people how hard the test is. Or they'll say, tell them how much experience we have, or, that we're committed to ethics. Those are all good, and I care very much what people think. What I really care, though, even more, and I think what the board cares and what the board's measuring is, what is the reaction among the target audience? So I think we got time for a couple more questions before we wrap up. Regarding the new ethics and fiduciary rules, what guidance are you giving to CFP professionals that work in a variety of different business models? So James asks that question. What guidance, and if one of you want to start, and I'll finish up, or if you want me to take it, I will. Go ahead.
Well, we created something called the Standards Resource Commission. One of our past chairs is heading that up, Blaine Aiken. And the mandate for the Standards Resource Commission is to provide the FAQs, the frequently asked questions, the guidance papers, the guidance documents, basically the expertise and knowledge that CFP professionals need to be able to live into these new standards. And that's regardless of channel, because all of us need to look at our current practices, regardless of how we get paid, and determine, based on these new standards and this new 7-step process, for those of you on the line that may not be aware, there's now 7 steps in the financial planning process, and that what you're doing in your practices align with that. And, realizing that you're now, when you're giving advice, you're a fiduciary, not just financial planning. When you're giving financial advice, you're always a fiduciary.
James, you asked specifically what guidance. Richard talked about the Standards Resource Commission. I would share with you that it's almost like Noah's Ark. We have 2 of everything, every business model represented. We have the insurance business model. The wirehouses are there. The firms that have large call center operations are recognized there. They're fee-only people, duly registered people. As I said, it's almost like Noah's Ark, and we're working. Now, the first thing that I would share with you from a guidance standpoint is the commentary that we released with the adoption of the new code and standards. So take a look, go online. It's right. You can link to it from our homepage. Very soon we'll have frequently asked questions and checklists and guidance that will be available. It's literally we're wrapping that up to have that out the door. And it will be iterative over time, because one of the things that we know is that we need to provide guidance. Our goal at CFP Board is to make sure that people understand what the standards are, and we're there to help people comply with those standards. It's not to try to catch somebody doing something wrong. I know there's still that perception out there, but if you were to sit in, and I'd encourage any of you who have an interest in volunteering for the Disciplinary and Ethics Commission, I think it will make you very proud of your profession to see how that peer review process, people who, like you, have to sit across from clients every day, understand the issues, and who sit in judgment if there's an allegation that somebody's done something wrong.
I just would also want to mention that the new ethics course is out now, and people can participate in that.
Yeah, that new ethics course, not only can they participate, but we, for the first time, Susan, thank you for bringing that up, have developed the content, not just the learning objectives, and left it up to various people to create the content, but we are prescribing the content. And so it talks about, here's the old standard, here's the new standard, and we think that is a big plus. I think we're just about ready to wrap up, so we're almost out of time. Richard, this is the last time. You and I have been working together since I started in May. I think I started in May in Denver as we were moving CFP Board in May, and I first met you maybe at a board meeting of FPA in Denver in a park with hamburgers and beer in June of that. Is that possibly
June of 2007. That's
Indeed.
correct.
What parting words do you have?
Well, I'd like to thank the CFP professional community for its support of CFP Board and the CFP certification. You are the greatest asset this board has. Today, the CFP marks are recognized as the standard of excellence for competent and ethical financial planning. The CFP certification process is recognized as a valid and rigorous path to achieving professionalism as a personal financial planner. And we know that CFP certification provides tangible value to those who hold it as well as their clients and firms. CFP professionals represent the most productive and successful advisors. I'm proud of the work we've accomplished together to elevate the stature of the CFP marks and the reputation of CFP Board, which elevates the profession in turn, and is important to our ongoing work to build awareness of the value of CFP professionals to the public.
I second Richard's thanks to the CFP professional community and the profession. As you heard today, we've accomplished a great deal over the past year. I'm excited about the momentum we have going into 2019, and I look forward to increasing our profession's diversity, following up on the findings and recommendations that came out of the Center's Diversity Summit. I also look forward to continuing our work to educate stakeholders on the new code and standards. The new code and standards are so important to the profession and to the public, and all of us at CFP Board are committed to help CFP professionals and the profession understand and deliver on our fiduciary promise to the public.
You know, as CEO, I share Richard and Susan's appreciation for the support of the CFP professional community. We talk about the mission of CFP Board is to benefit the public by granting the certification and upholding it as the recognized symbol. We're not doing that from Washington. For the staff, the 75 or so employees and other, folks who are consultants and helping us to do what we do, we're not the ones who are doing that. You, as CFP professionals, are upholding the value and what it really means to be a CFP professional. And I'm so proud of what we've accomplished toward the mission to benefit the public. As you've heard today about a lot of initiatives that are made possible only with the active involvement of CFP professionals and other stakeholders. I encourage all of you to consider getting involved in the work during the coming year. Please also consider supporting the work of the Center for Financial Planning. You can visit the Center's website to learn more about how to get involved with those initiatives. Your contributions, financial, time, talent, or treasure, will help support the important research work of the Center. In closing, I'd like to thank you all for joining us today for the webinar. A recording of this presentation will be posted on CFP Board's website within about a week. And CFP Board will follow up individually with those of you who asked questions that we did not get to during this broadcast. Again, thank you very much, and so long from Baltimore, Maryland.